everybody, and welcome to Weathering with Drew. My name is Drew Philip Elias. I am the co-host of Between Nerds Podcast. I'm here with my other co-host, Mr. Aldo Mendez. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
I am good. I'm a little disappointed this episode's coming out so late, but I enjoyed what we watched last night.
Yes, yeah, we did. We had to make some rescheduling changes, with Rachel and whatnot. This was supposed to be an episode on broody boys and horny girls.
Yep.
But instead of broody boys and horny girls, we're watching just sad boys and sad girls.
Which is all of us a little bit. And I don't blame anybody. What we've been trying to do a lot more recently is we've been trying to bring in a wide variety of guests. And what happens when you're trying to schedule a bunch of different people with their own fucking lives? Shit just happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They just can't watch anime like we watch anime all the time.
Not everyone's as dedicated to the craft of anime podcasting as we are.
Not even Cowboy Bebop Netflix adaptation.
But at the beginning of this episode, before I forget, I do want to plug our nonprofit for the month of November. Please use hashtag Nerds for the Homeless in an original tweet or Instagram post to be entered into our November giveaway. For every like and retweet, we will be donating to the OC homeless shelter here in El Paso.
The Old Coalition for the Homeless?
Right. Which I think they advertise themselves as an opportunity center.
Correct. The Opportunity Center for the Homeless, it's on Myrtle Street. That's where we are going to give our donation just like we did last year. The Old Coalition of the Homeless, they kind of have their hands in a lot of different shelters here in El Paso. Mm-hmm. I actually talked to them to them last week. I told them, I reminded them that we donated with them last year. And
Karen scooped up some canned goods this week.
I saw very good stuff, and we encourage all our listeners and followers to do so as well. And but yeah, I did talk to them and see what we could do, as far as the donations. So that's getting worked out. But all we need is likes, retweets, comments. Use this as a hashtag.
Right, and it's because November's really hard. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be Thanksgiving is next week. This is supposed to be the season of giving and appreciating your family and your friends and all that. So we're trying to help the people that don't have. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not only that. You could do it for strictly selfish reasons in and of itself. Because by using hashtag Nerds for the Homeless, you can be entered into our giveaway. We will give away something for free to one lucky hashtag user.
Yes.
And it's going to be some cool shit. We always get some fire.
We always do get some crazy stuff. But to stop beating around the bush with our housekeeping, is that all of our housekeeping? Yeah, that is all our housekeeping.
I think so. Expect an episode Tuesday morning on No Game, No Life, because we are expecting a guest Monday. But like everyone else, he's got his own life. But no matter what, we're expecting to record Monday night. So episode 70 will be coming out Tuesday morning.
Correct. And this episode, since it's so late, we're just going to put it out tonight. You won't be listening to this, of course, until tomorrow. But yeah, we're putting it out tonight.
Right.
And with that said, we had to make some, halftime changes.
Yep. Some roster changes, if you will.
Yes. And we picked out of the bench Weathering with You. It's been on our talks before.
Yeah, we have. We love Makoto Shinkai. Mm-hmm. We had this bad habit when we first started podcasting. When we were trying to get in the habit of doing it weekly, we would try to overflood ourselves with themed weeks, thinking that discussions of movies would somehow take up less time to talk about, right? And to that effect, in one episode, we talked about 3 Makoto Shinkai films. And that was one of our first really, really long episodes.
God, it was so long.
But it's not as long as even the episode we had last week.
Correct. Yes.
We barely broke 2 hours on that one, and last week we did a 3-hour episode.
Correct. Yeah. It was hectic. Yeah, it's too much on the mind. We barely had started. We were exhausted by the end of it.
It's terrible. But the thing about Makoto Shinkai is he is creating a brand on par with something like Studio Ghibli.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Makoto Shinkai is the modern anime director chops of who's the guy that started
Miyazaki?
Yeah, of Hayao Miyazaki. Mm-hmm. But all of Makoto Shinkai films kind of have the same
feel to it.
Yeah, they all have the same feel. They all have the same plot points. They all have the exact same characters. Mm-hmm. But it's comfortable. right? It feels like how the past 3 Studio Ghibli movies absolutely nobody's talked about because they all remind everybody of like every other Studio Ghibli movie that's ever come out.
I like Weathering with You, which is the movie that we're talking about. I like the premise of our protagonist, Hodaka, because it's a little bit more sad protagonist than all of our other ones. I mean, this kid is moving. It starts off with our kid moving into Tokyo.
Right, and he's like 15, 16 years old at the beginning.
Broke as shit.
Ran away from home. And what we tend to forget a lot of the time, since most of like anime and Japanese culture focuses on the Kanto region, which is like the Tokyo and surrounding regions, is that Japan is literally an island nation. Like what we would consider like country bumpkins, because you live in bum-ass nowhere like Kansas or something, they consider their country folk like isolated groups of people that live on islands outside of the mainland.
Island towns. Yeah, definitely.
And that's where this guy's running away from. And the thing about Weathering with You, I'll say it up front, I don't think it's bad. But it's not my favorite Makoto Shinkai film.
Oh, absolutely.
I could literally name 3 other titles. I'd much rather see The Weathering with You.
Because last time we talked about Shinkai movies, we talked about 5 centimeters per second. We talked about Garden of Words, and what was the other one?
Your Name.
Your Name, yes. Very good movies. We had a very good episode that day, and all of them, even though Shinkai works in this like same kind of formula, they're all very different.
Yeah. They all have like a the main character is always the same guy.
Correct.
It's always like a 15, 16-year-old, super angsty to himself, kind of I can mold adulthood to myself kind of thing. But then he's quickly like shaken awake. And that's every single movie. That's 5 centimeters per second. That's literally the plot to Garden of Words, like an adult having to like shake him awake and be like, I'm an adult, you're not. Can you please just like wake the fuck up?
Correct.
And that's exactly how Weathering with You feels.
But Weathering with You seems like in a lower tier to that because it's more general in that formula.
The one thing that I think is a really net positive for Weathering with You is that it has a lot more world building.
Oh yeah.
Like the city of Tokyo is its own character in Weathering with You.
Correct.
In something like Your Name, which is like the most closely related film, not only in their release but like in how they're structured. In Your Name, it's comparing the juxtaposition between being from a country town, being from northern Japan, and being from the big city.
Correct.
And then in Weathering with You, it's like what's that? Those old cartoons from the 90s about a mouse coming to America?
Ooh,
what is that called?
Yeah, the one with the red sweater and overgrown sleeves.
Yes.
I cannot remember, man. It's not Chip and Dale for sure.
The movie I'm thinking about is An American Tale, the An American Tale series, which was about a minority group immigrating to the United States from Europe. And they were ostracized and all that stuff. There was like racial components to it, and like it was like late 80s, early 90s. It's not the same, but the opening scene in Weathering with You feels like that to me.
Might as well be
because it's about him being on the ship, going into Tokyo, and he's just like in
excited.
awe. Like but what I think is even funnier is the scene exactly before that feels more like an ending than the actual ending that did to me.
Correct. And because at the beginning we do see our female protagonist here, Natsumi? No.
Natsumi. No, Hina.
Hina is crying over a patient in a hospital room. And looking over the rain. And if you guys seen any Shinkai movies, I mean, the rain looks amazing. The view looks amazing. The panorama looks amazing.
Which is ironic because, like, I remember one of the critical responses I was watching on YouTube the week we were watching the rest of the Makoto Shinkai films. When it came to Garden of Words, they talk about how the rain has its own personality. Correct. And in Weathering with You, there's a literal personification of raindrops. Like, raindrops are a living organism in Weathering with You.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's like he's taking that a step further a little bit.
Correct. And so yeah, we see Hina leaving the hospital, running into what the sky was shining light onto, like a shrine. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, I gotta go over there and pray for some reason."
It's one of those like old school Taoist shrines that you see like in Japanese media.
Correct. And she goes there, she prays, and as soon as she crosses that shrine, she just gets elevated into like this sky world. But it's very like quick.
Right. And that's one of the things about that's something that Weathering with You shares with your name, is there's a fantastical element that's never exactly like explained, kind of. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like Japanese Taoist tendencies have everything has its own god, everything has its own will, everything is in control of its own like spirituality almost.
Correct.
But it's directed in a way that the audience is expected to already know that. So when she's transported to the heavens, they literally call it the heavens at a certain point, and they start showing that the raindrops are alive, and there's like a whole fantastical element, and it feels like Spirited Away. Like she's experiencing this whole other world.
Correct.
The story doesn't want to baby you with it. It's not going to baby the audience and explain every minute detail of what's happening. It's just like, this is happening. You have to accept it.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know why it reminded me of a more intricate Ponyo.
Yes, exactly.
You know, because Ponyo just shits the story, the plot line onto you, and you're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, and it's the same kind of thing. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's about like a literal fish being a god mischievous person. That's like the point to Ponyo.
And to your point about like this initial scene looking more like an ending, and then just finding out our male protagonist story that he's coming to Tokyo on a new life, broken stuff. It reminds me of this interview that I saw with Seth Rogen that it's the way they wrote most of their movies. It's called the big X little X or little X big X way of writing.
I haven't heard this.
That you have people will focus on the little X before, which, for example, in Superbad, it was about getting the alcohol for the party, and that is like the main plot point. But at the end of the big X is not that.
It was about the friends we made along the way.
It was about the friends that we made along the way. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of follows that we're gonna mislead you with this almost plot point, but it's not really the plot point until like the last 45 minutes of the movie.
Honestly, now that I'm thinking about that, that's exactly like the same writing style in Pineapple Express too. It's like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go get weed. What is the little X? Big X is like
we getting narco fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes so much more sense now. That's so crazy to think about. And yeah, you see that exactly like verbatim right here, because for me, I thought that it was the boy in the first scene in the hospital bed. I'm like, holy shit! Like, is it really starting with the ending? Like, he's dead?
Me too.
He's gonna be dead.
Dying?
Yeah, he's gonna be dead by the end of this movie. What the? So like, I'm watching the whole movie, being like, when's he gonna die? When's he gonna die?
Like, just looking for like a cough or something that it's gonna like be detrimental to his health or something.
A major plot point in this movie is like an illegal firearm, which in Japanese media doesn't happen a lot because it's not the fucking United States where it's easy as fuck to get a gun.
This was like probably the first time we see like a gun as a character in like anime.
Yeah, like as a major plot point. Like I can't even remember last time I saw a gun. Like Space Dandy, maybe?
Yeah, but I mean in Space Dandy, I mean you're already in fucking space fighting.
It's
fucking
a joke.
Aliens.
You know what? It's a joke. The last time a gun was treated like a gun in anime that we watched for
was
this.
Was there a gun in Erased? There wasn't even a gun.
There was no gun in Erased.
That would have been crazy.
They were threatening to kill everybody without a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to say maybe Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop's the last time I can remember somebody having a gun pointed at their face and be like, holy shit, I'm gonna get shot.
Correct. And but before we get to that point, to the gun point, I mean, we see our male protagonist, Haruka. Haruka, he is. I mean,
he's homeless.
He's homeless. He has a good jacket on him, but we didn't even explain Suga, Mr.
Suga, yeah. But they don't even name him right here.
Correct.
So there's like this older He's probably our age. Which like, it's frustrating watching anime now. Makoto Shinkai is almost 50, and he keeps writing stories about 15-year-olds. And when he animates older characters, they're like 26, 27. We're both 28.
Correct.
So it's so infuriating to see it here. But anyway, so there's like the second piece of like animation flex when it comes to rain. So there's that first one at the windowsill in the hospital. The scene that finally has Hodoka in it. He's on the deck of the ship waiting for a tsunami fall to happen. Not a tsunami.
Monsoon.
A monsoon fall. Thank you. So he's waiting for a giant drenched shower that happens all at once because the Pacific Ocean, because it's warmer, the storms hold greater amounts of water, which is why they have more cumulonimbus clouds, which is a major plot point here too. So they're much more prone to having very quick showers all at once that quickly dissipate after like 10 minutes.
Correct. And this kid is like above deck, running without a jacket. He's just amazed at the view of the panorama of the city, at the sky. What is it called? Skyline of the city, and his rain is pouring on him. He's so excited. He's heading down below deck when he slips and almost fucking cracks his head open or some shit.
No. The announcer on the ship announces, "Hey guys, it's gonna rain. Everyone get below deck." We see him running through the crowd to go above deck because he wants to see the rain and the skyline.
Correct.
And that's when we're introduced to Suga, because he slips on the very front of the bow. Is that what that's called?
I have no idea. I know below deck and above deck.
So he slips, and it looks like he's gonna fall off of the ship, and that's when we see Suga grabs him, and he's just like, "Oh, I've never saved a boy before. You owe me a beer now."
Yeah.
So he makes this 15-year-old kid like buy him dinner and a beer. And it's funny because we see that Hodoka's broke because he goes to the vending machine to buy a beer, and it's 980 yen, which is like $9.80. And
He's like, fuck.
This is
I
way
just bought
too
him
expensive.
dinner, and he wanted a beer because this is the first time he saved someone. And I'm like, and he's giving all his scratch off to this guy to save this guy, which is cool. But at any point, I would have been like, listen, dude, I'm so grateful, but like, I'm heading into the city with no cash.
Hey, do you see how I'm 15 without a family? Like, this shit's rough.
Can I buy you this beer sometime later? Nah.
So they dock in Tokyo. They're getting off the ship, and Suga hands him his business card. He's like, "Hey kid, if you need anything, find me." But all strong-headed 15, 16-year-olds, Hodoka's like, "I don't need this," and just kind of goes off in the city. And we start seeing like how, like, when I'm talking about the world building and how Tokyo is its own city here, it's too massive for him. Like it's like it's one small person in this ginormous city with all these people, and he has to rent shower time, which maxes out at like 20 minutes. He's living in like a hotel room that's like, it's tiny. It's itty bitty. It's like a 4x5 little room.
Yeah, one outlet and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And he's reading The Catcher in the Rye, which I think is hilarious because there's some significance there that I'll catch up on in a little bit. But I think they make a point that they show the book like 3 or 4 times that he's watching The Catcher in the Rye. And you see him go throughout the day trying to get jobs. But the thing about it is it made the way identification works in Japan made me juxtapose like the American system so much that I think it's like hilarious, because for us, it's our social security card, right? Like anytime you go to a job, it's like, bring a copy of your social security card. Do you know your social security number? You can't get a job without your social security card. But we're tied to the social safety net, our social security number. In Japan, he's tied to his school ID. He can't get a job without having a school ID so that they can verify that he is able to work outside of being in school.
Correct.
Because in Japan, it's so heavily regulated what you can do up until you're like 16 that you have to be in school up to a certain age.
Yeah, and they even brought it up during this plot point, because when he's not in a renting room or in a renting studio or whatever, bedroom, whatever, he is in danger of get caught up by the police and being, why are you here at this time? You're supposed to be in school. What the fuck are you doing?
It made me think so much about like how annoying American society is. Like, imagine everyone that's bitching and crying about showing vaccination records, right? Oh, we can't have a vaccine passport. That goes against my rights. It's my freedom, my freedom, my freedom. In Japan, it's just a given that, the government is trying to protect our kids from each other, right? So you can't be 15 when you're supposed to be in middle school just roaming around in fuck-ass Tokyo.
Correct. And this is daylight or daytime. I mean, daytime or nighttime.
Mm-hmm. But it's it's really sad because it's just, he runs out of money super quickly. He's just hemorrhaging all these bills. Eventually he runs out of money to sleep in the hotel. So he's just roaming out in the street. But the thing about Tokyo right here is that what they're trying to get across is that the summers in Tokyo are raining a lot. Like a lot. And they're trying to tie it to like climate change and stuff like that. Because, again, talking about warmer ocean waters, my background's in environmental sustainability, right? Like anybody can listen to one of my last graduate projects from like December of last year. It's one of the bonus episodes on this podcast. And the climate change is different depending on your region because of how pressure works, right?
Correct.
So warmer waters create storms that hold a larger body of water. And it made me think of the storm that hit Houston, like 4 or 5 years ago? Because that storm formed in the Gulf of Mexico, which is warmer waters than the rest of the Atlantic. That storm could hold more water, and that's what just drenched Houston for like a whole week.
Correct.
And because the Pacific Ocean is warmer than like the Atlantic or the Indian Ocean or the Southern Pacific, the storms in a climate changed world would just rain and rain and rain and rain and never let up.
And keep coming and keep drowning. Yeah.
Right. And it's trying to juxtapose like this supernatural element to like humanity fucked up the climate scale at a certain point. And I like that, but by the end of the movie, it feels like too much. It feels like, okay, I thought this was a cute story about two 15-year-olds, and now you're telling me that I need to worry about climate change all of a sudden?
And I mean, for like storytelling's sake, I mean, it is the main something that the people worry about. Is like, God damn, it's raining again. God damn, people can't do their regular things. People are not being able to
live their lives.
And it just keeps raining and raining. And if you've never been into like a monsoon kind of rain, like it's no fucking joke. It's just pours. It's not like a fucking El Paso rain.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that's one of the significance. So El Paso had some of the worst rains. We had a 100-year storm this past August, right? And that is because that storm formed west of Mexico during a La Nina period where the water's warmer. And that's exactly my point. Like, we as like a global society are not prepared for the ramifications of climate change.
Correct. And also because of those ramifications, the fantastical theme gets into it as well.
Which is okay. I hear you. So like that did help like digest it. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel. It's not annoying or anything like that. And it being related through the eyes of teenagers, which like me and you were 28. We were born in 1993. We've been living our whole lives hearing that we didn't have a future because of climate change, right? And now we're starting to see that more and more. Every fucking monsoon season, every fire season's worse.
Tsunami season, everything.
Every winter storm's that much worse. And like we're really starting to see it. And that's what's ironic about seeing it through 15-year-olds is that it's like they don't have a future to look up to. Is that like the one of the jokes I see on like TikTok all the time about Gen Z is that Gen Z is so cynical because they don't know anything else. They can't see more than 20 years in the future because we don't know what shit's going to look like by 2040.
Correct.
And it's
a little jarring.
It's jarring, but you don't feel it while watching this movie because you're just like, holy shit, this kid's life sucks dick.
Yeah, and as we get that first like fantastical element on the first scene, Here we're now seeing that okay, there has to do something with the rain. The rain is going crazy, not just because of climate change, but the fantastical aspect of it.
Right.
So as our male protagonist is going really downhill in his financial situation, I mean, he's not able to afford a room anymore. He's not able to afford food. At some point, this was eating pretty well, and he's like, God damn, I can't be spending this much fucking money. But I mean, at some point, he's just lurking the streets during the rain and trying to like sleep somewhere.
He finally gets himself a raincoat too.
Yeah, he got himself a raincoat. He made friends with Rain the cat, which is great. Which is a great character in my opinion.
The cat,
yeah, the cat.
Rain. His name's Rain.
Yeah, and at some point we see him falling asleep next to some like vending machines, and this is where we kind of get introduced to like people in the city, and there's like some girls. They're like, oh my god, is that boy sleeping? Oh my god, and like he kind of wakes up because these girls are like fucking, I don't know, drunk or something in the middle of the night, and they're like, look at this little fucking kid sleeping on the street, but they're being nice about it. You know, they're acknowledging a homeless person. But then there's a guy character who fucking trips him while he's trying to leave. You know?
Right, and it reminds me of some of the characters we saw in The Way of the House Husband. Like, he's just like this low-level, air quotes, gangster kind of guy. He's just like, don't worry about that bum-ass kid, babies.
Let's go to my room.
He trips Hodaka over, like, a recycling can. So all these, like, plastic bottles and cans come out, and Hodaka finds, like, a paper bag.
Correct.
And so he's just like, ooh, maybe this is something valuable because he's fucking homeless. Opens the bag and it's a whole ass gun.
I thought he was going to get the cans from the recycling.
I thought he was too.
You know
it made me more sad. I was like, oh, he's picking up the cans.
Yeah. But yeah, he finds a fucking gun. But he, not only does he find the gun, before he opens the envelope, he goes to like a Burger King or a McDonald's.
It's a McDonald's.
Yeah, he goes into a McDonald's and he's just eating like chowder, which is served at McDonald's fucking in Japan. And which I'm assuming it has to be like a cup of like $1 menu soup cup, maybe.
Yeah.
And
that's after.
That's after?
That is after, because what I do think is also cool is that there's a lot of news segments like running in the background. There's a lot of news audio. And earlier on when he's like walking by, I think one of the shops, or when he's in the hotel room, he's listening to a news audio clip saying that a bunch of guns were stolen. And then that's when he finds the gun. So then he goes to McDonald's. He has the gun like in his bag, and he's convinced it's a toy. He's like, it's a toy, and you stop freaking out. And that's when like he's eating his sad ass chowder, and this girl who ends up being our female protagonist here, Hina, she just kind of gifts him a burger.
A big ass Big Mac.
Honestly, I think the studio got some rights from McDonald's on this one.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean,
because it uses the name.
Yeah, they use Pepsi. They use a lot of product placement.
There is a lot of product placement. I'm like, holy shit, this movie paid for its fucking self.
Yeah,
it feels like you're watching the very first Transformers movie when they were all sponsored by Chevy.
Yeah, GMC and shit.
Yes, exactly. Because like McDonald's is in like a bunch of animes, but it's always called like dumbass shit. You know what I mean? Because they can't use the real name.
As Macadaddies,
and all this bullshit. But it actually says McDonald's on the sign. The Big Mac looks like a Big Mac from like the commercials.
Correct. I'm sure Ronald McDonald was like, you better make that burger look fantastic.
Listen, China cartoon man, make this shit look good.
And even the dialogue was like, oh, that was the best dinner I ever had my whole life.
Good job, McDonald. I want to know how big that was. I want to know how much that studio got paid out for that.
Who knows, man? I mean, like, as we were talking about it, Shenke wants to make his own little universe Bobo like Ghibli ones.
That'd be fire.
You know what I'm saying?
He tries with this movie. He does try.
Definitely.
There's like a little Shinkai universe being created right here.
Correct.
And so he gets his burger. He's sad as fuck. He goes back into the rain, and he doesn't know what to do with the gun. And he knows in a situation where he's like homeless, and he's
a fucking 15-year-old that is not in school.
Right. He can't get a real job because he doesn't have a school ID, but he still has the business card of Asuga that he met on the boat. And he's got nowhere else to go, and he just kind of shows up at Suga's shop on the other side of town.
What does it say about me that I thought it was going to be just a fake card? Like a fake number?
it's you as a person. I don't know
Yeah,
what to
yeah.
say.
What does that say about me? Because I thought he was gonna be like, oh, the number you have dialed is being disconnected, blah blah. And even when he shows up, because he calls him, he doesn't get an answer,
Right.
And like he looks at the address
On the business card.
He puts it on his phone that apparently it should be prepaid, maybe,
Right.
You know, and he's like, "Fuck, it's
And
20
it's a
minutes.
nice phone too. It's like a whole ass iPhone.
It's 20 minutes away
By bus.
by bus." Is like, I'm gonna go, and even when he gets there, it's kind of a shitty location.
There's a funny like scene that happens on the bus where where Hodoka is sitting by himself, and in the back of the bus is some like little like a fifth grader or something with long hair that's all he's talking up this girl, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Very smooth.
very smooth. Yeah. Oh, your skirt's so cool. Your hair's so good. Blah 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 blah. And she even tells this boy, the little girl, she's like, "Oh, that cafe's gonna be open. We should go." And he's like, "Oh, okay, baby. It's a date. Whatever."
I'll check my schedule.
You know, I'll try to pencil you in.
Smooth as cream cheese.
And he's just like, "Oh, they're little kids and they're having a date." Another little girl jumps on the bus and goes back to that boy. And
as the girl leaves her stop, another girl jumps in the bus. She's like, "Oh, I was hoping I'll get to see you here." And then Hodoka is like, "Holy shit, what a motherfucking player this little kid."
It's hilarious. It's so funny. And I'm only bringing that up because that actually does matter later. So,
It does.
So he shows up to Suga's shop, and it's hilarious how like sad it is because so Japan is one of those kind of countries where you kind of live out of where you work, right? And he owns a publication shop, but it's like a freelance publication where they sell their stories to real magazines and newspapers and stuff like that, and like conspiracy blogs.
It's like yellow journalism. It's like, you know,
Exactly.
like the pages where like Men in Black get their fucking news from.
Yes, exactly. Like they're publishing stories for the Inquirer, shit like that.
Correct.
So it's joke stories, it's ghost stories around town. They go and interview people, and they just publish random garbage and they put it out, right? And right away, Suga's assistant / employee is here, Natsumi.
Natsumi, yes.
Which, God, like I hate watching anime with my girls sometimes because like there's always that like, please don't do weird horny shit, because Japanese men just always come off as sexually repressed. So this girl who's probably like a decade older than Hodoka is laying on this couch inside of this random shop that he just walked into because nobody answered the door.
And from what we see about this locale is that it has a bar.
Yeah.
When you open the door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he passes through the bar, makes a right into like this room where there's a girl sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, and he's just like, thighs, tits, like he always kneels down and like kind of bends in. He's just like, oh, boobies.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen naked thighs before. That shit's wild.
And he kind of like tries to snap out of it. He's like, dude, you can't do that.
You can't do. And then he just does it still more. He's like, I can't do this. This is unbecoming of me. Blah, 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 blah.
Fucking Shinji at the hospital.
Exactly. Like I think he's gonna whole ass just pull his dick out and nut on her. But she wakes up and she's like, "Were you looking at my titties?
I know you were looking at my titties.
I know you were looking at some tits." And she just like conducts like a work interview right here. She's like, "What's your name?" Blah blah blah.
Like, you must be the assistant Suga was talking about.
This is the help. I was wondering when Suga was gonna bring me some help. There's so much work around here. And this is the first time in the movie we hear Hodoka's name. He's just like, yeah, I'm Hodoka Morishima. And that's the first time, like 25 minutes into the movie, that we hear his name. And this is like an hour and 50-minute movie.
That this homeless kid gets a name. Yeah.
Terrible.
But
I like this next little sequence because like Suga finally comes in. He's just like, yeah, you're the new assistant. You're going to help us around here. You're going to clean. You're going to cook. And then you're going to help Natsumi with whatever story she's writing.
Yeah, because I mean, the first before this plot point, like it was starting to look like Grave of the Fireflies vibes of like this kid just going and spiraled down into like the homelessness world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like the beat picks up here. You know what I'm saying? Like
he finally gets a win. 30 minutes into the movie, Hodoka's finally getting a win, and it's just like, oh, thank God. Like, what something that they're doing is, so they're running ghost stories and all this other stuff, but they're urban legends, but they check Twitter a lot to like get their urban legends and stuff. Like they're on like fucking Japanese Reddit and shit. And one of them ends up being the idea of a weather girl.
A sunshine
girl. A sunshine girl, excuse me. Yes. So when it's raining and it's super shitty outside, like you can there's a she's almost treated as like a priestess that can pray to the gods, and then the sun will open up. And so Natsumi and Hodoka are running around trying to verify the story. They go to random psychics. They're going to like the slums, you know what I mean? And on one of these adventures, Hodoka is kind of by himself. I think he was doing like a grocery run or something. But what also I think is fucking like hilarious / sad / wild is he ends up getting like a fanny pack at one point, because originally my understanding was he went to Suga's shop to try to get advice on what to do with his fucking gun, because he was freaking out about it, the scene immediately before he goes to Suga's shop. But then we kind of forget about that when he's doing his whole like adventure writing thing. And now he has a fanny pack that he will hold with his left hand for comfort. So us as the audience were like, the fucking guns in that bag.
Correct.
And I'm just like, this isn't the United States, you know what I mean? Like, this is Texas, bro. I could get an unlicensed gun, hold it in my back pocket, and just walk around the fucking bar with it.
Yeah, over here in Japan, I mean, good thing he's keeping it close, but like you said, we thought we were gonna get a resolution of what to do with a gun.
And he just forgot to even bring it up.
Fucking gun I have.
I got a bag for it.
Yeah.
Hey, what do I need to dispose of the gun? So he sees that girl on the street that gave him that good McDonald's cheeseburger. And she's
not a sponsor of McDonald's.
Not sponsored by McDonald's, but sponsored by McDonald's. And she's being harassed by the gangster guy that kicked him over that can right before he found the gun.
Correct.
And he has dyed blonde hair, and we know that means that they're kind of like a rebel.
Yes.
Because blonde is not a fucking natural hair color in Japanese culture.
Right. He has a purple suit. I mean, you know.
He's a fucking dick, you know? He's a... What's the Japanese term? He's a Guido.
Yeah.
He's this Guido-looking motherfucker with his muscle. They're harassing this girl, being like, hey, baby, let's just go to this club. You want to go to this club? You might like it. You sure? Like, they'll pay you good.
Yeah, and as an audience... it's a number of things. Like you said, Japanese men seem to be, sexually repressed, stuff like that. So what? Is it a peep show? Is it like a go-go dancing thing? Is it like a...
Right away, I went to the extreme. I was like, this shit's prostitution.
Yeah, kind of.
Right away, I was like, nope, there's no way it's anything even PG-13. It's fucking prostitution. They're trying to pimp this girl out.
Yeah, and we know that this girl is almost the same age as our protagonist.
We don't know that yet.
No, we don't know yet, but we kind of...
They look the same age. We are meant to believe that
the character design is the same.
Yes, exactly right. And Hodoka, like he sees a pretty girl once and he's automatically in love. He's just kind of like goes up to where they're arguing, and this guy's got his arm around her. He just grabs the girl by the arm and just running. He's just like, let's go.
Because at some point it seems very very predative of him, that as he's trying to convince her, it's like, come on, puts his arm around her, come on, you'll make some good money, grabs her hand and kind of walks her into the thing. So it's not even letting her make the decision before he's already putting her in that situation. And it just seems odd, you know what I'm saying? It seems...
No consent was given.
Yeah, exactly. So fucking our boy, he's like, oh shit, fuck that. He runs up to them, grabs her by the hand, and starts running with her.
Yep. And then, but it's still raining because it's fucking summer in Japan, so it's always raining. And what's like hilarious is that you think they're going to get away because the gangster guys are kind of slipping and sliding and like trying to run over all these curves, but then they're just bigger and they just have longer legs and they just catch up to Hodoka and they just start beating the shit out of him. Like, I don't think we've seen violence in any Makoto Shinkai film.
Not like that.
That. Maybe like a slap, like, hey, wake the fuck up kind of thing.
Because he catches up to Haruka And he sees him. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Gives him a good like, "What are you doing?" slap.
They animate the redness in his face right away too.
Correct. They fucking. He gives him a "What the fuck are you doing?" kind of slap, and then he sees him. He's like, "Hey, you're the fucking boy that was sleeping outside my club or outside wherever he was sleeping." It's like
He said club, yeah.
He's like, "You motherfucker!" Is like, "Is this revenge for kicking you out of my fucking doorstep or some shit like that?"
Yep.
And now he starts wailing at him.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible.
And then, like, we know that Hodaka's got the gun. And, like, I think I even said audibly, just pull out the fucking gun. And that's exactly what he did. Like, and it's like, it's not... We've seen, like, revolvers a lot in, like, Japanese media. But this thing's a whole-ass Glock,
It is a
dog.
Glock, yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's got a grip on it. It's a magazine. And, like...
And if you know Shinkai, I mean, the point of view of the gun being pointed at the thug, it's about armed length, like arm height of the shot is arm height of the gun, and you can see the thug on the background of this shot, and you can see the gun being heavy on him, like he can't pick it up because he's a fucking 15-year-old,
and he's shaking. He's nervous. He's scared. Like
he just got beat up.
And I think he does the right thing here. I think it's not like he's Kyle Rittenhouse out here looking for trouble or some shit. He shoots to the side of him. You know what I mean? Like he blows out a street light to the side of this gangster guy, and the thug is like sitting on his chest, and he's just so dumbfounded. He's just like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? This shit just got the gangster just got scared of a gun. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, this shit's too real. And then
Just like Kyle Rittenhouse.
just like Kyle fucking Rittenhouse, bro. And so then Hina's just like, hurry, go, while they're dumbfounded, and just grabs and pulls it off the ground like, run, bitch, run. And like Hina's like the boss here, you know what I mean? Like she just grabs him by the wrist and like pulls it back to safety, and she's just like, oh, I can't believe you just fucking did that. I owe those guys fucking money. So like she totally was almost ready to get pimped out to pay these guys back.
She said she had made a deal.
Yeah, and it reminds me of one of the not the full episodes, but one of the short skits from House Husband, where it's not a Ponzi scheme, but it's a scam where like you pretend that something that was air quotes accidentally broken is worth more than it actually is. So that's a scam. You put them on the line for that line of debt, and you just keep adding and adding and adding to it.
Correct.
That's what it reminded me of a lot. So they were going to pimp out this girl just for some made up fucking scam.
Just like an old, like, what do you call it? Like a brothel house. It's like, oh, well, you spend the night here, you ate here, you still owe me this money, so you have to sleep with clientele to pay me this money, but then again, if you eat the next day, you're gonna owe me that money.
There was an episode of Samurai Champloo like that.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
A wife got sold to a brothel to pay for her husband's gambling debt, but she herself couldn't pay it back because she was getting paid in lodging and food.
Correct.
Oh my god, there's just like this history of Japanese media of just like tricking women into prostitution. It's so fucking exhausting.
It is.
And I don't even remember where they went there, but they become friends. I think it's either then or the next day he goes to her apartment.
Correct. Yeah. It is the next day because she, I don't know if she told him where she lived, but he wanted to help her find a job or something. He wanted to repay, they wanted to repay each other what they did for each other. Because
Right.
even when she told him, is like, oh, I made a deal with those guys, but honestly, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
And then that's when, I think that's where she tells him, I got fired at McDonald's. It's like, oh, fuck, did you get fired because you gave me that the Big Mac?
And she's like, no, it's not because of your fuck ass burger, weirdo.
Yeah. And anyway, she shows up there, and he, again, like a fucking anime boy, he's like, oh my god, this is my first time at a girl's house. Oh my god.
It's the next day, right?
Yeah.
I think he tells...
Yeah, because daytime.
I think he tells Natsumi, like, oh, I've got a date or something. And she's like his supervisor at work, kind of. Because she works directly for Suga. There's a funny scene that I forgot to mention when we're getting that whole sequence of him getting into the
mistress thing?
Yeah, the pattern of working, where he's cleaning Suga's room, finds a pink bra, gives it to Natsumi, and she's just like, this isn't mine. Why would you think this was mine? And he's just like, oh shit, oh fuck. And that ends up being relevant later for like a totally hilarious reason.
Yeah.
So Hodaka goes over to Hina's house, and she cooks lunch, but like she's cooking lunch. This is what, like the kind of scenes that you like that animation flex when it comes to food and like static food. Like, and this one's got like a runny egg in the middle. It's kind of like a stir fry kind of dish.
It's like a fried rice. It's like a stew.
Right. It's a multi-course lunch. Like, correct. There's a stew with like a giant, like rice dish. I don't know, but it's got like a raw egg in the middle. So what they show you animation wise is that when like he dips his spoon into the egg, it looks really runny and it starts going through the rice, and it's really fluid. It's gorgeous. This whole movie is gorgeous. Like, it's most of it is animated better than Your Name. And I think Shin-Kei knows that. So he's starting to do the Ghibli thing where it's just like, hey, do you want me to just fucking do you want me to just shit on you with animation for like 10 seconds? He's getting into that habit, which like I don't hate. Because the thing about the thing about this scene, which I'll talk about next, when it happened, it blew my mind, is so he's trying to learn more about her. Like, Hina's being really outgoing. What you were saying earlier, Hodoka's like all in his head. He's like, wow, I've never hung out with a girl before. This is my first official date. He's kind of losing himself. But she's being really outspoken. She's talking to him. She's like, oh, how old are you? He's like, oh, I'm 16. And she's like, oh, I'm 18 next month, I think.
Yeah. Like, some questions are starting to arise. It's like, and then he's like, wait, do you live here by yourself? It's like, yeah, I live here with my little brother. I take care of him. I'm just trying to look for another job since I lost mine while giving you my fucking Big Mac. And then the little brother walks in. Right,
who ends up being the little pimp boy from the bus that Hodoka saw. And Hodoka right away, he's just like, it's you! And his name's Nagi. Nagi's just kind of like, who the fuck is this bum inside of my house?
With my sister.
My sister, Hina. And before he shows up, though, there's an interesting piece of dialogue, because of course Hodoka's fucking horny and 15. He's checking out Hina, and he's just like looking her up and down, checking out her legs and stuff. And he's just like, he either says like you're too pretty or you're too hot to like be doing that kind of stuff.
I believe the dialogue was because they were talking about what she was gonna do for the club, but they didn't really give you context to what she was gonna do in the club. But him knowing what she was gonna do at the club, she's like, I don't think you have the body for that. And like still looking at her like
he's still checking her out,
scanning her out. Yeah. Checking her out. He's like, what? She's like, stop looking at me. What are you looking at me? It's like, I'm just saying, you don't have the body to do that shit.
Or I didn't interpret it as you don't have the body, but I understood it more as like you look too, like you're too pretty and innocent. Like, have you ever seen that like meme, which is kind of like a really cynical meme, where it's like, oh no, don't kill yourself, you're so hot, ha 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 ha. Just shit creepy fucking nerds say on the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
it like he's and that it's progressive writing that he's not progressive. Correct. Because he's a child. Like, he doesn't give women the value they deserve. So it takes like this woman, and it's a Shin-Kei movie. We know they're gonna fall in love, right? Like, I knew that 10 seconds into the fucking movie.
Yes.
So like, he's finding value in her outside of her looks, which like is a sign of maturity.
Correct.
When you could start giving women value that's not immediately related to the legs and their tits, right?
Yeah, because he also like said, oh wow, this food was delicious and shit like that, like right after.
She's a great conversationist. She's smart. She's driven. All this stuff. And all of Shin-Kei's female characters written like this. I think like, and they're all about 15, 16. Something happened in Makoto Shin-Kei's life at 15, 16 years old, and he's just trying to recreate it.
Garden of Words, bro.
For the past 40 fucking years.
Garden of Words. That's what happened to him.
It might have been I love Garden of Words too, don't get me wrong. But, what the fuck am I talking about? So, they,
he could have been a great shoemaker, but he decided to go into anime.
Right? Oh, I remember what happened after they ran away. They go to a warehouse They go to the warehouse from the first scene of the movie that she saw outside of the hospital.
Correct.
Because she's chastising him, being like, why the fuck do you have a gun? Don't you know this is Japan?
Are you fucking weirdo?
Thank you for helping me, but do you know what a fucking gun is, bro? Like, and he's frustrated and just throws it at the side of this fucking warehouse, which is even scarier for me, because like right away I'm just like, okay, that shit's totally gonna come up later. There's just this loaded fucking gun in this warehouse. I thought it was
gonna go off, dog.
I did too. Once he throws it on the ground, I'm just like, holy shit.
Like, cover your head, goddammit.
But the scene I'm describing this is where he finds out that she really is a Sunshine Girl, what he was trying to investigate with Natsumi earlier.
How does he find that out?
They're at the shed. They're at the abandoned building where she got her Sunshine Girl powers.
And she tells him.
Right. So it's still raining outside. And she's like, you know what? I want to show you something. So they go to the top of this abandoned building, which is the shrine where she got her Sunshine Girl powers. And she shows him, like, the very top. And this is one of the things that blew my mind on the animation. Like, when this scene happens, like, I was dumbfounded. Because, so, they're at the top of this abandoned building. There's a shrine, there's a Taoist shrine in the background. And they're standing over the railing. And she clasps her hands together and starts praying. And then the rain clouds start parting, and there's just like this one stream of sunshine that starts beaming through and starts expanding. But what the camera does is it's facing their front, and you see the Taoist shrine in the background. It pans. It's like a movable camera, and it pans around to show their back and then show the stream of light in front of them. That showed me that the background this whole time has been CGI.
Yeah.
Because you see it right then. The railing, the background, the rain, the sunshine have been CG this whole time. The only 2D things have been the character models. Mm-hmm. And it dumbfounded me. I was just like, they just turned the camera around in what was supposed to be a 2D piece of animation. And they could do that because they've been modeling everything in such high CGI quality that I thought it was fucking 2D this whole time.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
I was like, holy fuck.
And not only does it go around, as it goes around, it pans out so you can see that area that is being Sunshine Girled, like being, beamed up. And even people like acknowledge it's like, oh shit, it finally stopped raining here and shit. And it looks great. It looks beautiful.
It's so wild.
It looks
it's
beautiful
so
because
wild.
if in Garden of Words, like that kind of level of animation was happening only at the garden, like this is happening like
everywhere all the time.
Everywhere all the time. It's so fucking ridiculous.
It's wild. So that night before he went to her apartment for the date, he's trying to. You see him talking to himself, and he's like, "Is 50 yen too much? I don't know if 50 yen's too much." I'm still in my head. I mean, 5,000 yen. I'm still thinking he's thinking about pimping or something. I don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. And then he goes when he goes to her apartment, he's building her a website so that they can make a Sunshine Girl like business.
Which again, it's throwing the fantastical theme of this movie at your face. It's like, oh shit, why didn't we think about running a fucking Ghostbusters theme fucking
That's exactly what it is.
Here.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the fucking Ghostbusters, but with Sunshine Girl.
Yeah.
And so the very first job is like, okay, well, a flea market gave us our 30,000 yen. She agrees that it was too much. So she says, she changes it to 3,000 yen, $30 for them to go out across town with her little brother to go pray to the sky and hope that sunshine appears, which happens because like, Hodoka, he makes an umbrella, puts some tacky looking charms all over it, dresses up the little brother Nagi as like as a big charm.
Yeah, charm.
And they show up and like the adults are just laughing at them. They're just like, why did we give these kids $30 fucking bucks to come out here and just like dance around with an umbrella?
Yeah.
But then it works. It works, and then they get tipped out too. The owner of the flea market's just like, bro, we're actually gonna make some fucking money. Thank you so fucking much.
Here's 50 or 60 extra or some shit.
Right,
like
here's 6,000 yen on top of it. Like, don't even worry about the bills, dog. I'm actually gonna make some business today.
Correct, and people go out, and that's the. I mean, for me, that's the beauty of it all, I guess, because this nonsensical fucking theme of the Sunshine Girl makes an impact on everybody.
Right.
and it feels good. It's wholesome. It's like, oh shit, people can go out and do their shit without having to worry about a jacket or a fucking umbrella and shit.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice to see.
But what they're starting to imply is that like the more she uses her powers, the more they do these jobs, the harder it rains like naturally in and of itself. And Hodoka even tells Natsumi and Suga what he's doing. Because there's even a scene where Suga's like, where the fuck is Hodoka? Shouldn't he be here helping? And Natsumi's like, well, he's at his second job at that Sunshine Girl thing. Mm-hmm. And Suga's like, he's like a jealous fucking dad. He's just like, where the fuck is he at? Why isn't he here helping? Mm-hmm. And it's sad / hilarious because the after that scene, the very next job they get as a Sunshine Girl is at an old lady's house in like a traditional Japanese style home. And the grandson ends up being Taki from Your Name.
Oh shit!
You didn't realize that was him?
No, I didn't realize. I hadn't. You know the version of Your Name that I saw,
right?
You know
so for context, like when we were watching it, Aldo didn't hit me up for my login credentials, and he instead streamed like some illegal 240 pixel 10-second audio delay version of Your Name.
I got the plot, but I didn't get the details.
Right, which sucks because like this is literally Taki. Like they're visiting Taki's grandma's house, and Taki whole ass comes out, and he's just like, "Who are these fucking kids, Grandma? Why are they praying to the sun? What's going on?" And she's like, "Oh well,
I just wanted a nice day for your grandpa."
Oh, and this is where it reminded me of fucking what's that Pixar movie about Mexicans and going to
Coco?
It reminded me of Coco because the Japanese tradition here is they have a shrine, which we saw like in Yu Yu Hakusho, like season 1 of Yu Yu Hakusho, where you light some incense or some candles, and the smoke is going to lead the spirit to heaven or whatever. Mm-hmm. And here, their version of an ofrenda is they make not only the shrine inside of the house, but they make like a bonfire.
Correct.
And the smoke from the bonfire is going to lead the spirit of your loved one up to heaven.
Front and back. Yeah.
And like right then, I'm just like, God damn it, Makoto Shinkai. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, stop it. We didn't need... We're halfway through the movie. Can you chill the fuck out?
Yeah.
And just hearing like Taki's grandmother being like, yeah, your grandfather meant a lot to me, obviously, and I just want to make sure he has a really good afterlife too.
Correct.
And this is it's interesting because I'm not entirely sure where this fits in the Your Name timeline. Because in the plot to Your Name, there's a 5-year time gap between
the girl protagonist and the guy protagonist.
Between the girl and the guy, gender bending between each other.
Correct.
And they switch bodies a la Freaky Friday at random times in the night, right? But there's also a period after the resolution of Your Name where there's like a 3-year period before they meet up again in the real world.
Correct.
So, because Taki is not living by himself yet in Tokyo and he's living with his grandma, it makes me believe that this is happening before Your Name in Taki's timeline.
Correct.
And immediately after this, there's a scene where Hodoka is trying to buy a ring for Hina, and the clerk is the girl from Your Name. It's fucking Mitsuha. And I don't know if you noticed that either.
No, I did not notice that either.
No, yeah. So like canonically, this is what I mean about like Shinkai making the Shinkai universe.
Correct. Because even in 5 centimeters per second, the one of the teachers of our protagonist is the girl from the Garden of Words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. God, I love Makoto. I'm
I'm
like upset that Makoto Shinkai hasn't announced another movie.
It's like, get a fucking studio already, brother. Get it going.
I'm not actually sure how Comics Wave Films is related to Makoto Shinkai. Because they've produced every film he's made since 5 centimeters per second. The only thing they didn't produce was like his graduate project, which is like fucking, it's about Gundams and shit. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's got some kind of deal with them, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. But he's tied exclusively to them.
Okay.
And
maybe like a Konami, Hideo Kojima kind of relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, like, fuck Konami.
Fuck Konami.
I hope they treat him better than Konami treats anybody.
Anybody. Yeah. Even the nerds. Even me.
Even Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. For the love of God, fuck Konami. But yeah, I just think that shit's hilarious because this is where things really, really start spiraling. Because the rain absolutely does not stop. We are in like late August at this point.
And what I was saying like earlier about that little X, big X structure, this is where we start to see the dissipation of the little X trauma at the beginning of the movie, and it starts going into something else.
It goes from homeless boy to like
big rain go boom.
Yeah. So because the rain never fucking stops, we get a scene cut somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where it lands, but there's a couple of cops chasing the gangsters that Hodaka shot at. Mm-hmm. And the gangsters think they're fucking cops. They think they're getting arrested or some shit. So they're just running through Tokyo, and they finally catch up, and they're like, no, I swear we're not going to arrest you. And they show him a picture of Hodaka with the gun in his hand. They're like, do you know this boy? Do you know who that girl is in the frame too?
Very problematic thing to me, because he is running away from what he thought had to do with him recruiting a minor into his club. And then when they get caught up to him, the cops are like, no, forget about that minor. We're trying to find this boy. It's like, whoa, what do you mean forget about that minor?
It's like The Sopranos. It's like we're gonna look over all the sex crimes, but the violence is too much.
Yeah.
The violence was a step too far.
We need to find this 15-year-old guy with a gun.
Exactly. Yeah. Like selling 15-year-olds into sex slavery. So be it.
We'll take that. We're working on that.
It makes me think a lot, because it reminds me, which like I'm never gonna trust like the canonical representation in Tokyo Drift. Correct. But there's a subplot in Tokyo Drift where the cops overlook what the Yakuza do, because the Yakuza donate to the government system and they give back to the community. It's like how
Pollos Hermanos Gustavo was fucking.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say it's like how in Narcos, how they never end up selling out the drug lords, because they're the ones that actually give structure to the community. They paid for that church, bro. Absolutely. Like, yeah. they gave me my Thanksgiving turkey. What am I gonna do? Sell out the Narcos for what?
You'll get popped.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It reminds me of that kind of, and it's sad, because now it's just like, fuck. Like, we just know that like now there's a whole nother layer of conflict here, because now the cops are after Hodaka. And they go to Hina's apartment while Hodaka's there taking a shower because it's all fucking raining. And the cops are just like, hey, look at the picture of this boy. Do you know him before? He's been seen in this area fuck ton.
With a gun, and he also has a missing persons report by his parents.
His parents reported him lost. He's like 5 islands over.
Yeah.
Please help us get him home. And
by the way, aren't you fucking a minor and you're living here alone? Where's your guardian? What the fuck's going on?
Right. So they go through Hina's record and they're like, hey, you're also fucking 15, aren't you? Is your little brother here working with you? Where are your parents? Hey, they're dead. Leave me the fuck alone. Please don't put me into the public service system so that I get separated from my brother.
Nuh-uh. We'll be here tomorrow with CPS.
Which is terrible. And then not only that, they go to Suga's house. And they're trying to like shake down Suga, and it's the worst. It's the fucking worst.
What kind of fucking like?
I hate cops.
Yes. Fuck the police. Yes. But I have a moral conflict in my head, because I'm looking at
the self-sustained nature of this 15-year-old Hina.
Correct. And then, yeah, I want CPS to do their work. Yeah, I want CPS to take care of children that are in bad places. But then again, I'm like, why don't you just leave this one alone?
Yeah.
She's doing her thing. She has a job. She's giving you some sunshine once in a while. You just don't know about it.
Hey, man.
You know what I'm saying? But then again, it's like, fuck.
There's a subplot that I think they like just forget about, is that they show that the rain droplets have life.
Correct.
Which is why Hina can talk to them and make them go away. And what they start finding around town are little jellyfish-looking things that look like they're alive. They look like the fucking flubber things from Super Mario Sunshine.
A la Ghibli sprites.
Yes. And that's because Hina, using her powers, is giving the raindrops life, and that's creating like clusters around the city that randomly like fall on people too. Mm-hmm. And there's never real resolution to that. You just see that she, even though she's helping people by giving them sunshine, some people are getting fucked over because they're getting flooded more, because she's just diverting the rain. She's not stopping it.
Correct.
And then at that same time, in the background of all of like the Sunshine Girl jobs, Suga and Natsumi go to a shrine on the other side of town and are looking at a mosaic on the roof of a
like a Sistine Chapel kind of painting.
right, on a Taoist shrine that shows the actual story to Sunshine Girls, because Sunshine Girls in old Japanese times were like they were sages that prayed to the weather. Each village had their own, but at a certain point you had to sacrifice the Sunshine Girl to appease the gods so that it would stop fucking raining.
Correct.
So,
Do you remember the plot to Men in Black 2? With Rosario Dawson being this alien that whenever she was sad, it would rain.
right.
For some reason, it kept triggering that
Wow,
aspect
I
into
haven't
my
thought
head.
about that. I used to own that on DVD.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie like millions of times.
Yeah, absolutely. John and Axel. Yeah, it was a money grab. It was a fucking cash grab. Of
It
a
was
movie,
way worse than the first one, but I remember
Absolutely.
it better than the first one because I didn't own the first one.
Correct. But yeah, it just kept bringing me back to Rosario Dawson on that movie about her being like this rain almost goddess, but she was an alien.
Right? No, it's the same thing. And there's plenty of cultures like that. There's Native American cultures that prayed for rain
And sunshine.
and sunshine. Yeah. And there's just a plethora of all that. And that's what's so cynical, because their last Sunshine Girl job is by Suga, but they don't know it's Suga. They're just like, hey, some weirdo wants us to meet him at the park so that it can stop raining and his daughter with asthma can play without having a fucking asthma attack. They show up, it's Suga and his whole ass daughter. And Suga has a wedding band that has been shown off and on this whole time. And it's fucked up because a little bit before that, it's Suga in the hospital talking to his mother, his daughter's grandmother, being like, "Hey, I know you're still smoking. I know this divorce is a lot right now, but it reminds me of Squid Games, where the grandmother was like, "Hey, get your fucking shit together before your daughter goes off to the United States and she forgets what it means to be Korean." And Suga is trying to like nut up and be a good father so that he doesn't lose her, and we get this really, really wholesome scene because it's Natsumi, Suga, his daughter Asuka, Nina, and Hodoka.
And before you get to that wholesome scene, a little bit prior to that, Natsumi has a conversation with Suga. He's like, "Why are you so worried about him? It's because he reminds you of you, right?" It's like you ran away from home. You had to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and now you're just worried about what he's doing because it's you.
And now you're being the fucking adult, right?
And now you're being the adult.
You pimped out this kid for nothing. You paid him nothing. Gave him free room and board. Don't get me wrong.
And $30 a week or something.
$30 a fucking week for spending cash, and now all of a sudden you're worried about him.
Correct.
And what I'm starting to notice though is that like every male character in all of Makoto Shinkei's films are just different iterations of Makoto Shinkei.
Yeah.
They're all just Makoto Shinkei. They're all just him being a fuck ass and trying to fall in love.
I mean,
and
Miyazaki
being-
put his father in all his fucking movies, so...
But it's so much more selfish to just be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm just gonna make movies about myself for 40 fucking years.
Fuck it.
Which is funny. It's great. You know what I mean? But you're right. You're exactly right. So they have this amazing day at the park. Hina brings the sun out, and we get this really funny scene where we finally get the clarification on the mistress portion of it, because Suga's been wearing this wedding band. This hot
As
chick-
Natsumi is approaching.
yeah, there's this hot chick with tits that like works for him and is always hanging out at his place, and Hodoka just blurts out like, "Hey, so like, are you Suga's?
Aren't you gonna take your ring off, bro?
Yeah.
It's like,
This is your mistress, right?"
Yeah.
And Suga's like, "No, you idiot! Natsumi's my cousin,
Yeah, niece or something.
my niece, yeah, like my baby niece or something." And it's just like, oh.
And then Natsumi's like, "You perv! You thought we were? He was like, I was his mistress. Have you been fantasizing about this whole time?" And like, he just gets redder and redder in front of Hina as he's trying to kind of like tell how he feels to Hina,
Right.
And he's just like digging himself up, like in this pervy hole.
Yeah. And then that night is the scene where CPS comes through and is like, "Where the fuck is Hodoka?"
Correct.
And then at that same time, Suga tells Nagi, because they take Nagi to dinner. so that, you know, the couple can hang out together. And they end up telling Nagi, like, hey, the cops came by and they're looking for Hodoka. And Suga tells Hodoka at one point, like, honestly, dog, I'm gonna have to drop you. Like, I'm trying to gain custody of my daughter. I can't be getting in legal trouble right now.
It's time for you to go home, bro.
It's time for you to go home. Like, this was fun, but you gotta get out of here. And it's evil, because, you know what I mean? This was his fucking father figure, this whole fucking movie. Mm-hmm. And he just dropped him. He's just like, no, dude, my real kid needs me. Like, get the fuck out of here. And it's not only that. So, that night, Hina, Nagi, and Hodoka, they dip out. They're runaways all over again. Like, and Hodoka's so used to it at this point. He's just like, I know how to evade the cops. Come on, let's get out of here.
And now we get good rain. Mm-hmm. Now we get the monsoon of monsoons,
flooding,
lower level neighborhoods. Nobody's allowed to be outside. It gets so crazy at some point that in the middle of August it starts snowing.
Yeah. And it's like that scene from fucking what's that Korean movie that won all the awards?
Parasite.
It's like Parasite.
Not Parasite, the bad anime.
Parasite, the Korean Oscar-winning film.
What is it? Bong movie?
I'm not going to try to make up his name, but yes, it starts with Bong something.
Yeah.
And where there's the scene where unregulated lower level housing is just flooded over. Mm-hmm. That's what happens to Suga's shop. Mm-hmm. And so Suga's like in ankle deep water walking around his fucking home / living space / workspace, and the cops show up and they're like, hey, where the fuck is the kid? He's just like, dude, I don't know, like, I'm just out here. I thought he was a good kid. I'm not sure what's happening. And it's not showing Suga's face, but at a certain point the cop just like looks at him. He's just like, hey, like, are you all right? And Suga's just like, yeah, why, what's wrong? And Suga,
it's raining today. It reminded me of that, man. It reminded me of Metal Alchemist. It's like, it seems like it's raining today. It's like, but it's not raining. Like, yes, it is.
So the cop looks at Suga and is just like, dude, you're crying. They're indoors and like Suga's just like drenching whole ass fucking waterfalls on his face. And the scene you're talking about is juxtaposed to like Full Metal Alchemist when Colonel Mustang's best friend dies and they're outside
at his funeral.
And Colonel Mustang's just fucking bawling his eyes out, but like manly. He's not sobbing. Like the water's just falling from his eyes.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's so crazy that it's raining today. And then one of the lieutenants is like, but it's not. It's like, yeah, it is. Oh, God.
And it's sad because, you know, it's like I understand Suga's situation. You know what I mean? Like,
he didn't want to do it.
He's trying to get his daughter. Like, I understand the priority should be your own kid. I get it. But, like, it's like you stuck your leg out for a child and then you just, like, abandoned them at that same time. If you wanted to make your daughter the priority, you should have never fucking threw the kid a bone. Mm-hmm. Like, you fucked up. It's some fuckboy shit. You let him on. You know what I mean? Like, it's really fucked up. So the kids are running... And because they don't have any identification, they can't even rent a hotel. Like, and it's like that here too. I can't rent into a Hilton unless I give them like a copy of my driver's license.
Correct. They do get lucky one time.
They do get, and it's a fancy hotel.
Yes, might as well be a Hilton or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
They drop all their money on this bitch.
And there's one of my favorite parts of the of dialogue. Our protagonist Haruka. I mean, they're having fun. They're eating good. They're doing karaoke in the room. And I mean, I'm not a religious person, but when it comes to like you praying, you know, just to the universe or to whatever God you believe in, but he was like, God damn it, God! It's like if you do exist, don't take anything else from us, but don't.
I just want this one moment forever. Like, just let me live this one night forever.
Yeah, dude, and it's so. Child wonder kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? It's
beautiful because it's childish.
Yes,
but because you know it's not gonna last, right?
Yeah, because I know I'm a grown up and life is sad.
And it wasn't. We got a little bit of scene before that while they were running away when one of the scenes where Hina makes the sun go away, where the living raindrops, like the fish that the raindrops turn into, like kind of kick back, and they're like sucking her own life energy. It starts turning her arm. See-through. It starts looking watery. It starts looking like fucking Ponyo or some shit. Mm-hmm. And they get the hotel room. Hodoka and Nagi bathe together. And then they let Hina go. And by the time Nagi falls asleep in the middle of the night, Hina's just wearing a robe. she kind of like shuts down and like takes off her robe, which like for him, he's the fucking horny 15-year-old boy and he's wanted nothing more to see this
But it
woman.
wasn't horny.
It wasn't. It was really wholesome because like she takes off the robe and she's turning into water. Like when we were getting the story about the Sunshine Girls being sacrificed, she is being sacrificed by the water to turning to the rain.
And she says it flat out. She's like, I can make the rain go away. I can help a lot of people if I just do this thing one more time. And Hiroka is like, no. It's like, fuck that. It's like, here's a ring. Because he gives her a ring that day because that's her birthday.
Right, the one that he bought from Mitsuha.
For Mitsuha. And he's like, promise me a promise ring, you know, like, promise me that we're always going to be together and we're not going to separate and you're not going to do what you think you're going to do. And please. And it's just like the sobbing through this whole, like, Hina having this fucking moral conflict within herself to do it or not to do it, but then Haruka having this selfish thing about himself to keep this moment forever.
Yeah.
And
which at a certain point, like, how much more can you give to people before you have to start thinking about yourself?
correct.
And it's kind of that lesson that's happening right here because we're getting juxtaposed at that same time that night where Suga's at the bar in his own place. Because what you were talking about earlier, there's a whole ass like built-in bar at his publication shop where he's just asleep on the counter by himself, and Natsumi shows up and she's like, hey, you fucking bum, you really are acting like an old alcoholic, huh? And she's just like, she's mad too. She's like, I can't believe you sold out that fucking kid. Like, he looked up to you so much. You were a father figure this whole summer. And it's exhausting. It's so it helps the Suga character arc to know that he is human, that he did regret it. You know what I mean? And the next morning,
Cops show up at the hotel room.
the cops show up at the hotel room. You know what I mean? Oh, what I didn't even talk about is that night before they even find the hotel, two cops almost arrest them on the street in the middle of all the flooding. And Hina prays for help from the sky, and a lightning bolt comes down.
Animated fucking crazy.
It looks great. It's so excellent. And it just lights a car on fire.
Yeah.
And that's how the kids get away, because it's just like a giant ball of fire. The cops go fuck off and go try to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. And but this next morning, I mean, CPS cops show up to the hotel room. Hina nowhere to be found. Little brother, what's his name? Nagi goes with the child protection officer, and Hiroka goes. You know, he's getting arrested.
Yeah. And they go to the police station, and they're just like, hey, we know you're a runaway. Your parents filed this police report. But where's that gun? Do you remember that gun that was like 40 minutes ago in the movie? We kind of need that.
I wouldn't even fucking remember what I did with that gun.
No, yeah.
At this point of the story, losing the girl I love while running from the cops in the craziest rain of all time.
And what's hilarious...
And losing my father figure.
Yeah. Getting sold out by my father figure.
Yeah.
He, that night, we see that Hina, like, gave herself to this guy. Mm-hmm. Like, she sacrificed herself, just like the story said she was going to do.
Because that morning where the cops come in, it's sunny. There's no rain.
Right. Because her sacrificing herself, that was the only way to get the sunshine back. Mm-hmm. And Haruka is able to put one and one together and realize that she gave herself to this guy because the ring he gave her the night before falls from the sky right in front of him and lands in the water. And he's just like, holy shit, it's the ring. It's the fucking ring. Like, she's up there. I have to help her. He goes to the police station. They're trying to interrogate him. He just runs away. This is like the most unrealistic part of this whole movie because everything fantastical has been explained through the story. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that this 15-year-old boy can whole ass just run out of a detective's office and no one can catch him.
I mean, and we're not talking about like he ran out of the lobby. Like he was like a couple of hallways into like the police station.
He was almost in the investigation room.
Yeah, runs out, tosses some boxes into the way, I guess to like slow down the cops. He slides. He unintentionally slides under a cop while he reaches the exit door, and he just keeps jetting.
Yeah, and what's great at the same time is that like a moped with Natsumi on it is driving by at that same time. And she's just like, Hodoka, get the fuck on the bike. Let's go. So now it's Natsumi and Hodoka on like a fucking moped trying to run away from the cops in whole ass cars. Mm-hmm. And they do it though. The streets are all flooded. Shit's fucked up. And
Natsume here, it's a middle point in between like your child wonder of Hiroka and your adulthood responsibilities of Suga.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
It's great because she believes in what the kid wants to do.
Yeah.
But also knows that there's repercussions for what he's going to do.
Right.
You know? But she still does it. And it's just a great character writing into it.
It is, because they even get to a ditch and she's just like, hey, I'm gonna stay here and take the fall, jump the fuck over that fence, and we see him just whole ass running on train tracks the rest of the way trying to get to the abandoned building where that shrine was, because he knows like if he gets to that shrine he can go back to the heavens because that's where she got her power. And this could only happen because it flooded the night before, so the trains are off. And you even hear like the workers being like, "Dude, like that's totally illegal. He's gonna get hit by a train." And it's just like, what do you mean the trains aren't running? You even see people on the platform below him being like, "Is that a kid? Yeah. Somebody's gonna arrest him." And we're just like, "Holy shit, he's gonna get arrested all over again." So he makes it to the abandoned building that had the shrine on top of it, which is also the building that has the fucking gun, which we saw like 50 minutes into the movie. So now, at the abandoned building, Suga finds him. And Suga grabs him and is like, hey, you dumbass fucking kid, like, don't fuck this up for me and my daughter. Please go get arrested. and Hodoka, like, Suga thinks he's being manic, right? Like, he's talking fucking nonsense. He's just like...
I mean, he's been running for, like, fucking maybe 2 miles already. He gets into the building. He's
talking about his girlfriend being magically in the sky and he's got to go save her.
And he's almost there, and then Suga, his father figure at some point, his once thought friend, starts getting Hiroka starts getting a remorse-driven feelings here. It's like, get out of my way. It's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, but Suga, being the adult, he's like, no, kid, is like, fucking relax. He grabs him by the arm. He's like, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Hodoka bites him.
Hodoka bites him, gets away from him on the same floor that the gun is at.
Right. And right then, like, he finds the gun, points it at Suga.
Spicy shit, dog.
And is like, get the fuck away from me. And at that same moment, the cops pull up. And so it's like 5 cops. Suga got there. And Hodoka with the gun in his hand. And Hodoka is pointing the gun at every person in the room.
If this was America,
they would have shot him.
That kid would have been gone unless it was Kyle Rittenhouse.
Exactly. There's absolutely no way that if this happened in the United States of America, that this kid would not have been shot immediately.
God.
It's exhausting because, like...
But now Hiroka's just bawling his eyes out. He's like, no.
I gotta go save her. Get away from me. Stop trying to stop me. And like, he just, like, throws the gun at a person. He jumps onto the, what's it called?
Well, there's a little bit more plot there. The cops get him.
Right.
The cops get his hand on him. Start kind of being a little bit rough on him, you know?
Oh, they put the cuffs on him?
Yeah, and then Suga... He gets like another fucking change of mind. He's like, fucking leave my kid alone.
Uh-huh.
Like, don't fucking treat him like that. He's already good. Like, he doesn't have the gun anymore. What the fuck are you guys doing? He tackles the cop with the fucking ducktail. Very cool character design for the detective.
I hated it so much.
But then he slips away, and then another cop is like, where the fuck are you going, Hiroka? And then the fucking little brother, who was in CPS...
Oh my god, we didn't even describe it. So Nagi was...
Throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, throughout this whole thing, and the running on the train tracks, and the being arrested, Nagi was at a police station, or Child Protective Services, whatever, with another cop overlooking him. But he was getting female visitors, the little girls from the bus.
Yeah. Damn, what a cool-ass fucking kid.
Nagi had a whole ass fucking plan. This guy's the shit. So not only does he get like 5 different female visitors, he gets 2 of them there at the same time. One of them, he is like his ex-girlfriend, and one of them's his current girlfriend, or that's how the girls describe it. And he gets the first girl to ask the cop that was watching him to take her to the restroom. And then he switches outfits with the second girl to show up, and you hear her say, "Oh, I'm only doing this because I fucking like you, and I'm super upset that you brought your ex out here to do this plan."
Kids, bro.
They're like fifth graders,
Little kids, bro. And
it's so
like,
dramatic.
hurry up and give me that wig, girl.
Yeah, give me that wig, give me that dress. Let's go. I gotta go save a dumbass.
Correct.
So all this cop tackling's happening with Suga and the cops and with the ducktail, and then Nagi in the dress and the wig pulls through,
Starts scratching and going at one
tackles
of the cops.
another cop,
And finally clears the way from Hirosaki to go up the fucking rails.
Yeah, and that's when Hodoka it's the fire escape route. The like in New York. Yeah, the stairs on the side of the building. He climbs up, but the building's so fucking shitty and abandoned, like the stairs are falling behind him. And he makes it all the way up, and he's like, "Please, for the love of God, fucking work. There's so much bad shit going downstairs." He runs through the pillar of the shrine, and he's transported 1,000 feet up in the air with the whimsical fish-looking raindrops. And he's like, "Holy shit, I did it! I did it!" And like, this is where the animation just like starts fucking just vomiting gorgeousness everywhere. Like, it's so gorgeous you become like numb to it after 10 minutes. You're just like, holy fuck.
Yeah. He's flying up to the skies past this like Matrix style like forever storm, and he like goes
they
through
show
that.
you the cumulonimbus clouds.
Yeah, you pass through that and you see this like landfill of like beautifulness and like little raindrop fishes all around circling on Hina, and he gets there and he's like, "Hina, I'm over here," and he's still fucking tripping in the air.
Like, he sees like a school of the fish like eating something. He's like, "That's Hina, I gotta go get her."
Yeah.
And she finds her, and she wakes up, and she's like, "Holy shit, you're here, dude! You're here!"
Like, what the fuck?
And they just like fall through the sky together. I don't know, but like it's mainly there for the animation, because they start animating the whole globe, because they're in air quotes heaven. They're in the skies, and they start showing them falling back down to earth, and it's gorgeous. They start showing the curvature of the earth, the ocean, the cloud formations, the storms. The curvature of the earth, and it's crazy. It's so good. Like
back and forth of dialogue of like, "Hell, man, we'll be together."
All of the Makoto Shinkai films are on HBO Max. There is no reason that nobody should not be watching these.
It's fucking great, man. And as they're falling down in the fucking sky, I mean, there's this whole feeling of high risk of like, are they gonna splatter in the fucking ground? What the fuck is gonna happen? But
and it cuts right there.
It cuts, yeah.
This is where I start having issues. The ending feels kind of
convoluted.
rushed. Yeah, and convoluted. It's too much like Your Name. There's a lot of resolution that happens off screen, because so it cuts. And it's back on the island that Hodoka grew up on.
Well, a little bit before that, it goes back to the floor of the warehouse that they're at, and the sky clears.
Right.
And we know from Suga's look that something happened.
Right.
There was some resolution, and then it cuts.
Right. So, yeah, we have no resolution. Are they getting arrested? Are they not getting arrested? What's happening to the kids? And the very next bit is that hillside that we've seen Hodoka have flashbacks on, which made him want to go to Tokyo, because he saw the rainfall and he saw the sunshine in the background, which made him believe that his sunshine, his life was going to lead him to Tokyo, to the big city, because he was tired of being trapped on an island where he couldn't get to the sunshine. He couldn't get away from the storm. Mm-hmm. It's a whole metaphor in and of itself. And that's... So... He's on probation for 3 years because guns.
Because guns, and because he has to graduate high school.
He ran away from the cops. Yeah. I think he got away with a lot of it because he's 15.
Correct. And the deal was pretty much, if you want to fuck up, do it after high school.
Yeah,
and they gave him a probation for his graduation.
So he's just on house arrest for the island for 3 years.
Correct.
And the minute he graduates high school, like, girls are literally trying to like talk to him after, and they're like, "Oh, are you really wanted in Tokyo?" Blah 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 blah. The minute he graduates, he's back on a boat to fucking Tokyo. He's like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here," and it's really sad because you would have thought that like he would have been in touch with Hina this whole time, because but she didn't have a phone. You know, she was basically homeless, which doesn't make sense that she had no access to the internet whatsoever. Like, you could have messaged her on, you could have slid in those DMs on Twitter or Facebook or something.
I think like the dialogue was like that he didn't want to contact her because he didn't want to get her in trouble and anyone else in trouble for that matter.
But he did say the no phone thing was part of it.
Yeah.
So immediately he goes back to Tokyo. He's retracing his roots. Like he's reaching out to Natsumi. He's reaching out to Suga. He goes back to Suga's shop. It's no longer a bar. It's no longer all shitty and scummy looking. Like he's actually got like an office set up. Like it's a real publication.
And
now.
Rain is fat and chunky.
Yeah, and the Rain is the cat. The cat Rain is fat and chunky.
Yeah.
And now they're the same person. Like now Rain the cat and Suga are both grumpy and chubby. Yeah, it's funny. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
And
because even Suga's like dialogue here is like, "What are you doing, kid?" Is like,
go find her, bro.
Yeah,
Like, why are you fucking around right now? Go get her.
It's like, why are you being brute? He's like, why are you being sad about not talking to her when you can go and talk to her?
You waited 3 years. Go get her, dog. Like, and that's like the very last scene. He's just wandering around town, and Hina is a year younger than him. That's what we end up finding out because she was lying about being 18. He's 16. She's 15.
A little bit before that, we know that he checks the notifications on the website of the Sunshine Girl.
Ooh.
And there was one more request.
The last request.
Yeah, and he goes to that location just to let him know that the Sunshine Girl was not going to come.
It was Taki's grandma.
It was Taki's grandma.
It was the grandma that they helped make the sunshine for so that she could do the shrine, the ofrenda.
Correct.
To get her husband's spirit up. And she's moved. She's moved parts of town because what they show is that in this 3-year time gap, because of all the rain, it didn't stop this whole fucking time.
It's flooded. Like
Tokyo's underwater.
Yeah.
Tokyo's literally underwater. Like it doesn't exist anymore.
Day after tomorrow kind of shit, but with rain.
Right. And there's a point of dialogue where it's like, well, this is what it looked like 200 years ago before all the human intervention. It's like Mexico City.
Yeah.
Mexico City was literally a lake. And then through human intervention and irrigation tactics, like they diverted it. And that's why, because Mexico City is a basin now, they get so much flooding. So it's kind of the same concept that's happening right here. So the Tokyo he loved for that summer is now completely different. It's gone. And he's trying to find the girl. She's a year younger than him. So even though he just graduated high school, like she still technically has like one more year in high school. The very last scene is he's going up a hill. The scene, the same hill where she first shows him that her arm was turning into water. And he sees her there at the top of the hill praying. And you're led to believe that it's her praying for him to come back because he's her sunshine. She's no longer praying for everybody else's sunshine. She's hoping for her sunshine to come back. And that leads back to the initial scene, which we thought was the ending, in the hospital bed. That was a flashback of her mom dying in the hospital. And that's when she got her Sunshine Girl powers, because she saw the beam of light beaming down on that shrine across the city. And so no context, no dialogue, nothing. The very last scene in Weathering With You is they finally reach out to each other. And you think they're going to kiss. Like, I'm sitting there with Karen, I'm just like, suck her dick. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just cut right there because, you know,
Shinge
PG-13, yeah.
and anime movies.
Yeah. But it was cool. It's good. It's good. It's not as good as Your Name.
It's good. It's good. What can I say? I mean, Shinge, it's maybe something overlooked, maybe. Something that is not talked about together in all these, movies and stuff. But I mean, he has good shit, man.
I think maybe like in American nerd culture.
Yeah,
he's
American nerd culture.
Okay.
Yeah,
because this is literally like the second biggest anime director like in Japan.
Correct. No, I mean here.
Like
nobody thinks Shinke, movies. Somebody thinks either Your Name, either Weathering With You.
People forget his name. I agree. Like, people know Your Name. People know Weathering With You. People know 5 centimeters per second. People don't necessarily know Makoto Shinke.
Correct.
Like, literally, Weathering With You in the box office surpassed Spirited Away. Mm-hmm. Like, up until last year with the release of, or this year with the release of the Demon Slayer movie, Weathering With You was the highest grossing anime film ever. Mm-hmm. And it like Makoto Shinkai is the guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Good stuff, man. I mean, from Garden of Words to 5 centimeters, it's a lot of shit.
He's the GOAT, bro. And like my gripes with Weathering with You is that a lot of it feels too much like he's trying to rehash everything that worked in Your Name. Mm-hmm. Like, there's too much of him trying to recreate a fantastical element. It's the exact same characters. It's literally the exact same characters. Mm-hmm. But it has a different gimmick because it's like, oh, how can I beat time travel? Like, that's such a good fucking concept. How can I beat that? Mm-hmm. Weather, I don't fucking know. And it's just
climate change.
It's just not as good as a concept. It's just not.
Yeah, and like I said, compared to these other movies, it seems like a tear down from like his
which
good
still
formula,
isn't bad,
which is not bad. No, it's not
bad.
bad. It's way better than season 2 of Fruits Baskets. But with all that said, do you want to go into the nerd down?
Nerd down.
Nerd down.
Nerd down.
Welcome back to the Nerd Down, where the nerds get down. Nerds, thank you very much for joining us on episode 69. I wish we could have made it hornier since it was 69, but hey, you guys got Weathering with You. It was kind of horny, kind of not, kind of sad. But here we are in the Nerd Down. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Between Nerds. If you guys have any concerns, comments, or you guys want to, shoot the shit on an email, please hit us up at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com. Also, please don't forget to use hashtag nerds for the homeless so we can use your likes, comment, retweets, and usage of the hashtag so we can donate to the OC Homeless of El Paso. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to get some goodies for them. Maybe if we get enough likes, I'm going to cook a turkey dinner for them, which I already got in contact with them and see how we can work that out. Also, the usage of the said hashtag, Nerds for the Homeless, will get you enter into our giveaway, and we will get you some hot anime shit.
Yeah, and just, it's kind of housekeeping, kind of not housekeeping. On Monday, we are going to have Mr. Jacob Bantuelos, hopefully, hope he doesn't flake, a la Rachel.
Raquel.
Like Rachel. And hopefully this upcoming Monday we will have Jacob Banuelos, the owner of TCG Battleground here in El Paso, to talk about No Game No Life, which we are watching this week. And so for episode 70, expect a conversation, even if it's just me and Aldo on season 1 of No Game No Life and the movie.
Mm-hmm. 12 episodes, one movie.
12 episodes, one movie. And next week might be kind of back-to-back-ish if Rachel doesn't back out for the 5th time this week. And hopefully next Wednesday, so the episode will be available by Thursday morning, we will finally have our episode out on season 2 of Fruits Basket.
Yes. And we have some nerd shit planning on Saturday with the 1,000th episode of One Piece.
Right. I am having some people over for a small get together so that we can watch this 30-minute groundbreaking piece of television that is episode 1000 of One Piece. And I'm hoping they throw some sauce on it. Funimation Studios has not put out anything about it being an hour long, about there being additional content, but they've been advertising episode 1000 a lot, which they've never really
done for anything,
even Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
This is Funimation that refused to animate One Piece well until episode 900. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that maybe there's some hidden content that's going to happen when episode 1000 comes out, 8 p.m. on Saturday.
Hopefully, man. Longest running anime
ever.
Longest
running manga ever. Highest grossing manga ever. Overtook Batman as the highest, the second highest grossing comic book ever. It's only behind Superman right now.
And that was because Superman was made a year earlier.
Yeah, it's probably gonna overtake Superman.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's groundbreaking television. And not only that, like Aldo was saying, reach out to us on social media, on our email. Anything you guys want us to talk about, we are willing to talk about on the podcast, even for the Nerd Down or even anything else. If you want us to hear our context on the Eternals, I don't think we talked about.
You just recently watched the Eternals.
Karen didn't like it.
Yeah, Karen didn't like it. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't love it. It's probably in my bottom tier of MCU movies.
It is not Captain Marvel. It's not Thor 2.
I would say I like Captain Marvel more. I did like Captain Marvel more.
I just like the conversation that it's bringing. I can oversee the dialogue, the writing, the cutting.
I was talking about this with somebody at work today. Even like the bunk MCU products, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we talked about, like it had production issues just because of COVID and all that other bullshit. Or like, I would say it's better than the first two Thors and the first Captain America, which I fucking hated. But we're so far into the MCU. Any MCU product has value just because it adds to the MCU universe.
Correct. And that's what it did for me, because I mean, I see it in the eyes that we're not in the Thanos saga anymore. Right. We're not in the Infinite Saga anymore. Like,
well, I had real like storytelling problems with it. Like, I had no issues with the world building.
You had no issues with world building?
No, I love the idea of the Eternals. The Celestials actually are named characters now. Thanos' brother is a whole ass fucking character now, which like he always was, but now he's actually
there.
He's there. He's fucking what's his face? What's his name? The singer?
Harry
Styles.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you
Like Harry Styles is now canon in the MCU. That's fucking crazy. But like my issues with it, from a story writing perspective, you're talking the Seth Rogen Big X Little X writing thing. I've talked about the Dan Harmon hero's journey writing trope before. My issue with the Eternals is that Act 2, the beginning of Act 2 is like 15-20 minutes too long. The beginning of Act 2 is when they're reintroducing all the Eternals and what they're doing now. They spend like a little bit too long there, to the point that it kills like the pacing. So you get this giant lull 30 minutes into the movie. And then my biggest gripe is how the villains are treated, because by the end of the movie there's like 2 or 3 villains. So the main villain that we've been getting this whole time is this deviant that's been absorbing the powers of the other Eternals. And we're just like, holy shit, he's the big bad.
Which he's not really a big bad.
He's not a big bad, but that's not even the issue. It's like he's almost killed off screen. They throw him in a cave with Angelina Jolie's character. He's murdered in all of 10 seconds. And they're like, holy shit, it was Icarus the whole time. Like, it's too rushed, like halfway through Act 3. And there's like 3 villains all at once. It's like, we have to kill the Deviant, we have to kill Icarus, we have to stop the Celestial from being born. So it's just they lost the point, which is the same gripe that Avengers 2 has.
Yeah, but the same thing that, not that I like, but that I appreciate about the movie is that I'm not saying that it's not a stepping stone, because it's definitely a stepping stone.
Right, 1,000%.
You know, 1,000% it's a stepping stone.
Right.
Did I like the storytelling? Yes, I did. Could I pick it? Could I nitpick a lot of things? Yes, I could. But I know it's a stepping stone. I know this is one of the first movies in Phase 4 of this next.
But it's not one of the first. Like, we're halfway through Phase 4, bro. That's what I'm saying.
But Phase 4... I mean, how many phases did the Infinity Saga take? It took 3 phases.
No, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, seeing it as a stepping stone and knowing that it was a stepping stone.
But we're not in the beginning of Phase 4 anymore, bro.
But this is the beginning of what this new 4th, 5th, and 6th phases are gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what the last Spider-Man was. That's what Shang-Chi was. Like,
and those were way better movies.
Shang-Chi is like an 8 out of 10. 8, maybe 9.
And that's still a stepping stone.
Eternals is like a 6. Like, it's so disappointing watching the groundbreaking television, which is like the introduction of Kung Fu in the MC universe, that is Shang-Chi 2 months ago. And then you go watch the Eternals and you're just like...
But then I feel that Eternals is a bigger stepping stone that Shang-Chi is.
Canonically, it is.
Exactly.
I'm agreeing with you, but that doesn't help the act. Like, in the like, I get what you're saying. In the grand scheme of things, in the MCU universe, it does a lot more for the plot. It moves like so many pieces forward. It introduces like galactic scale characters to the forefront. Now we have to worry about the Celestials. Now we have to worry about
Bigger
Thanos'
entities.
family. Yes, exactly. And Shang-Chi was a micro adventure in fucking
in terms of the Eternals.
in fucking Southern California in the Bay, and it was just like a subplot to a much bigger thing. I get what you're saying, but in the act of just like comparing film to film, it hurts my feelings that they're like, hey, we're giving you so much more world building plot in the Eternals, but it's just kind of a garbage movie. Like imagine you were trying to introduce a friend to the MCU universe and you're just like, oh, they've been talking this movie up so much. We've been watching trailers for months. It's going to be so good. You take them to watch the Eternals and they're like, wow, that was pretty bad, huh?
Yes, but then that's, I mean, to me, I knew I was walking into a stepping stone. Did I know the magnitude of the stepping stone? Yes. To me, I couldn't pick it apart like you picked it apart. I don't know why, but I couldn't pick it apart that much.
I think it's because you give like things just related to comic books. You're more likely to give them the benefit of the doubt than I am.
Yes, and yeah, absolutely. I do feel like that sometimes. But the Eternals, when I went there, I didn't expect this groundbreaking fucking movie.
I did.
You know what? I didn't.
I did.
See, I didn't. What I went into there is to see what the conversation was going to be about it afterwards, because I knew it was going to be a stepping stone. Shang-Chi was a great fucking movie. You know what I'm saying? And that is also a stepping stone. Captain Marvel was not a stepping stone. No. Captain Marvel should have been a stone. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they treated it as a stepping stone.
It's because it seems like
the first Captain America, that was a stepping stone to what Captain America was going to be.
The first Captain America was garbage.
You know what I'm saying? But that's a stepping stone movie.
I understand what you're saying.
I know.
But you could also call the first Guardians of the Galaxy a stepping stone movie. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy,
but that was amazing.
It's amazing. That's amazing. What I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes, okay, I get you.
That is exactly
in comparison to the stepping stone of what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 to compare to the stepping stone that Eternals is.
Before Guardians of the Galaxy, all the MCU movies were Earth-based. Mm-hmm. Then once the Guardians of the Galaxy bit hit, that led into the galactic bit that's Captain Marvel, that's the Eternals, that's all this other stuff. But you could watch the first Guardians of the Galaxy alone and still be thoroughly entertained.
Absolutely.
After one watch of the Eternals, you're never going to do that again.
I'm never going to do that again.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's okay to dumb it down. It's all right.
No, I get it that it wasn't a great movie, but I just liked what it offered, even though it didn't offer much. I also like Captain America.
Right.
The first one.
Right.
You know? I didn't like Thor 2. You know,
the first Thor was bad too.
Yeah, the first Thor
was bad. The one that actually had what's her face and like the main bad was that suit of armor. That shit's ass.
I like that one too.
It was bad.
You know,
it's almost as bad as Avengers 2.
Avengers 2 I didn't like because they treated it as a stepping stone as well.
But see, here's the issue with Eternals as a film. Is that it does
have a lot of production problems.
It's a collaboration film. Like it's a bunch of big names with a bunch of big powers, but because of it introducing all these characters in one film, it spends too much time on them. As opposed to compare like the first two Avengers films. All these characters are like being shoved on the screen for the first time at the same time, but we have all these other films to explain their backstories. Mm-hmm. Eternals maybe needed a whole nother film for us to give a shit.
Well, there is going to be a sequel, so hold on to your fucking horses.
Oh my god!
But see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not even excited for that.
My nerd in me was so much excited about like the celestial components, the massive variables that they're going to incorporate.
But it's okay to be critical of the things you love. It's all right.
No, and I'm telling you, I know there's a problem with it, but I didn't hate it as much as you did. I did not like it as much as you didn't like it.
It's good. I don't understand how you can be so critical of something like Captain Marvel, which I think as a standalone film can stand up better than the Eternals, even though the conversation around it matters less than you can be to the Eternals. Which, like, as a film buff, which you are, like, you are a fan of, like, film media, like, really good, like, high quality, like, groundbreaking films. I don't understand how you can be more critical of Captain Marvel, which holds up better as a 3-act structured film than The Eternals does.
Captain Marvel did to me what Ant-Man and the Wasp did for me.
That's a good movie!
It's
are you kidding?
not!
Oh my god!
It's not!
Yes, it does nothing for the MCU world building, but as a film, as a standalone, go to the movies and enjoy yourself 2-hour film, it's good.
Yes.
It is better than The Eternals.
But see, then in my head, I'm looking at the big thing as to, like,
Oh my God.
did Ant-Man, the first one, did more than the Captain Marvel did for me? Yes. Did Captain Marvel did the same thing as Ant-Man and the Wasp did for me? Yeah, they did the same thing for me. Did they do the same thing as Thor 2? No, because Thor 2 for me was not good, even though they introduced the stone of reality there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want me to tell you? It's not something that I'm choosing to be critical about or not. It's just my...
It's because I think you're being a little biased. Like, I'm trying to compare film quality, and you can't detach it from the MCU universe.
It's because, the film quality...
It's ass.
Of
ass.
what? Of
The
Eternals.
Say it. It's ass. It's bad.
It's
boring. It's boring.
I liked it. I'm
it's
sorry.
boring. It's boring.
I'm sorry. I liked it, dude. I was engaged the whole time. Was I engaged for the wrong reasons? Maybe. But, like, the things that Captain Marvel wanted me to see, me knowing Captain Marvel as a character in the comic books, it threw me off. It was...
But see, I feel like I appreciate Captain Marvel even more after Endgame. Because the thing about Captain Marvel, the film, is that they really tried to humanize her. And they wanted her to be relatable, even though they tried telling you from the forefront, like, no, she has the power of an Infinity Stone inside of her. Like, she had a radiation blast from an Infinity Stone, and now she maintains that power, which is, like, mind-blowing to think about. Because we've been spending, like, 12 years at that point just hearing about how, like, warping, like, universe destroying, like, the Infinity Stones are, right? So then I felt like more of that payoff once you see her fight Thanos in Endgame. It's just like, it made me feel stupid as an MCU fan for not thinking, like, who's the one motherfucker that can fight this guy? Oh, it's Captain fucking Marvel. And she almost beats him, like, right there until he pulls a cheap shot. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because I haven't had that time or that context yet to appreciate, like, the Eternals. But, like, there's no context to Eternals right now. And in this world building... They could have introduced this as part of, like, one of the Disney Plus series shows. Like Harry Styles now being Thanos' brother. They made such a big point to be like, hey, Angelina Jolie and that guy from Game of Thrones are now part of the MCU. Look at all this star-studded cast. They're going to work so well together, blah, 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 blah. And none of that shit mattered. It felt like Wonder Woman 2. It felt like Wonder Woman 2.
To me, the fact that the Celestials, that the Eternals that remain on Earth got called upon, the Celestial, I can't remember his name, the red one, and now we're heading into, like, this cosmic celestial trial to convince these entities about Earth's and humanity's value, to me makes a lot. It gives me a lot more.
I get that. I understand what you're saying. But that has to do with context that has nothing to do with the film itself.
I know, but, like... what do you want me to know? What do you want me to tell you when I know these things and I go look at the movie and I'm like, oh, that's the thing that they wanted to show us. Trust me, if I wouldn't show... Like you said, I wouldn't tell a friend of mine is like, hey, you want to see a great Marvel movie? Let's go watch The Eternals. No, because... he wouldn't fucking know what the fuck was gonna happen. He didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen.
Right.
So, if I wanted to show a newcomer to the Marvel MCU universe, a good fucking film, I would show him Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Yeah. I would show him
Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok was a great movie. It was made by the same fucking director, I believe.
Yeah, it's James Gunn.
And like I know it's not for newcomers, but to me, it didn't do what it did to you because I knew the context of what.
I knew it too. We both watched the new Rockstars.
Yeah.
We both watch all these trailer breakdowns. I knew it was gonna happen too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, it's because
I
we
was
care.
excited.
It's because we care so much that we spoil ourselves, and so it's up to like the rest of the film to actually like lead up to that and actually like fulfill on that. That I was so disappointed because like literally all the context I got from the pre-trailer breakdowns was enough that you could totally live without actually watching the
movie.
Eternals.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. That is awful. Because Shang-Chi, there's no...
Gave you a lot in the trailers, but it didn't give you the plot.
Right. Which helps because Shang-Chi not being a major part yet of the greater MCU universe helps it be a better standalone film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Shang-Chi's in that same list that we're just discussing about things if you're introducing somebody for the first time. Correct. Hey, this movie came out 3 months ago. It's fucking groundbreaking. Like, it's the first time real Kung Fu has been in the MCU.
Yes.
And it's great. It's excellent. And what disappoints me is that world building in the Eternals is... I understand the value that you're adding to it because that's everything we're going to be talking about for the next fucking decade. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But... the next groundbreaking film that I'm pretty sure is not going to let me down is going to be Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man No Way Home. And Spider-Man No Way Home is more in that Doctor Strange realm of fantastical inter-universal stuff as opposed to the galaxy-wide thing that the Eternals has. And I think that could both be a standalone film and is probably going to expand. It's going to blow the lid on the MCU universe because it's going to expand on everything that we've been seeing from Loki. Mm-hmm. Because if it's going to be a melding of 3 different universes, it has to be good. Mm. And even, you know, we watch the same YouTube videos that break down the same trailers and all that stuff. It's just like, I just can't. I want it to be over. Like, I'm so excited for it, and I've been talking about it since fucking March. You know what I mean? I'm done. Like, I know it's gonna blow my socks off. I know even if it's a bum-ass movie that, like, I'm gonna care more about Doctor Strange and the Universe of Madness or whatever the fuck it's called than I will about the sequential context of the Eternals.
Correct.
And that's what makes me more upset about the Eternals. It's like you watch it once and you're never gonna watch it again. Mm-hmm. You talk about it once, you're never gonna talk about it again.
You might talk about it later. Who knows? I mean, we did, and this is giving a lot of props to the movie, but like the 2 last scenes don't really connect to the movie, but they give us more about the supernatural, not only a supernatural, but like the dark, quote unquote, supernatural with Blade and the dark.
But we already knew that. That wasn't new.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not attaching this to the success.
So
the conversation about Eternals. I'm not connecting this to make the Eternals better because it doesn't. It's completely separate.
For context, one of the after credit scenes that you're talking about is fucking Jon Snow's character unlocks his family's sword and out speaks to him the voice of Blade.
Correct.
And we already knew that like Blade was going to be part of the MCU sometime soon.
Correct. But like, doesn't it get you excited about talking about it?
But I got more excited from the after credit scenes from Shang-Chi because in Shang-Chi we see that not only did his sister retake like the Ten Rings organization or whatever, correct, but that Hulk is back and he's working with Captain Marvel all over again. And now that's expanding the universal scope more than the actual whole movie of the Eternals did.
I mean, celestial cosmic trial about the worthiness of Earth, it's kind of good to me.
And that's a lot of like what reminds me of so much of like Thor 2. Because Thor 2 tried teasing you, being like, ooh, this is... One of the after credit scenes in Thor 2 was Thanos breaking into the vault and taking the gauntlet or whatever.
Which didn't fucking matter.
Which was fake. Which was all fake the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminds me of, though. It's like these these scope fake outs that we don't even know yet if it's going to matter.
See, I mean, I know for a fact there's gonna be an Eternals soon. You know.
Yeah.
So okay, did what the Eternals did in the first Eternals just a cash grab, just a regular cash grab, just like any other fucking studio does? Maybe. Is that gonna take place before the whole multiverse of madness conundrum thing happens and everything is gonna be resetted? Are we gonna have like this half celestial popping out of the ocean like the entire time on Earth? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't really make sense.
Right.
But those Eternals that got called upon the celestial and they are gonna be brought up to this like celestial trial. This is what I'm led to believe. Is that gonna matter later on? I mean, who knows? I don't know, but that makes me excited, and that's why I didn't see it as a boring movie. I mean, I love the what are the monster guys? What are they called? The
Deviants?
The Deviants. The Deviant stories about them. I mean, I like that organism. I like the whole story behind them being like, no, dogs, like you're the bad guy. I'm gonna kill you because you're the bad guy. We're not the bad guy.
But see, that's what I'm saying. By the end of the film, the Deviants weren't the real villain.
I know, but the Deviants are still there.
They spend 130. They spend an hour and a half being like, "Hey, the Deviants are the main villain." Blah 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 blah.
But the Deviants are still there.
Right, but Thanos was a fucking deviant. You want to talk deviant?
He's half deviant.
He had the deviant gene.
Yeah.
And he wasn't half deviant. He was a deviant. He had the deviant gene.
Yeah.
He was a member of Titan that had the deviant gene, which is why like Harry Styles is here to de-hornify the universe, or what the fuck his character does.
Re-hornify the universe.
Re-hornify the universe.
Yes,
oh my
yes.
fucking god.
See, like, there's a lot of conversations with a lot of these new things, and that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody is trying to, like, put all these movies in a microscope of that Phase 4. I'm like, dude, remember Phase 1? Phase 1's movies did matter in some way, but at the end of the fucking...
Yeah, Iron Man 1 mattered.
Yes.
What do you... No one's not debating that.
What I'm saying is that the plot to Iron Man, the only thing that matters is his upbringing as Iron Man.
Right.
We know that Iron Man's there already, but nothing from that movie was attached to like the ending of the saga, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people are trying to see these movies and trying to be like, oh, this can happen. Dude, we still have the X-Men to come in, the fucking Fantastic Four to come in.
Well, I think that's an interesting point talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, though, is because Kevin Feige is taking a bigger production role in this film as opposed to the Eternals or Shang-Chi or any of the recent releases, because he's the head of like the Marvel studio at Disney. Mm-hmm. Like, his start was the original X-Men trilogy.
Correct.
So them taking it back to the Statue of Liberty, which was the major set point to like X-Men 2.
2, yes, I believe so.
It is like, you know he's throwing every resource he can at this shit. That's what I mean. He's throwing every resource at this. Mm-hmm. There's no way that this isn't the most groundbreaking thing we like ever.
Yeah, it's gonna break the universe and hopefully bring on a lot of more conversation about it. But later on, when we look at the end game of this next new phases, Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6, when we see the end game on Phase 6, we're gonna look back at this movie and we're like, wow, look how much this all didn't matter.
Yeah. Something that doesn't make sense to me is just the logistics of Sony technically owning Spider-Man. And they're going to do like a prequel straight to Disney Plus animated film about Spider-Man.
I think it's a series. Year 1?
Which is even more confusing. You know what I mean?
Year?
Yeah. Which is like, how? I think
Sony owns the cinematic rights to Spider-Man, and I think that's why they're doing it in a comic style way, that Disney can use Spider-Man in a comic style usage.
I just hope the X-Men get introduced soon.
Yeah.
Who knows? The X-Men being introduced soon would throw everything out of the water. Like, imagine how... Like, we're talking about interdimensional play with Loki and Doctor Strange and all that. And then we're talking about, like, expanding of the universe and the galaxy play with the Celestials and the Eternals. Imagine how much more, like, just blown out the box everything would be if the X-Men and the Fantastic Four were introduced. It'd just be like it would really, because right now in this mid stage of Phase 4, we know everything that's going to happen. There's I can almost guarantee like certain plot points that are going to happen between now and the end of 2022. If they were to announce the rest of these movies that include all these other cast of characters, it's like there's so many different directions they could go. And it's just,
and that's what I'm saying, like, and that's what I'm not trying to like be super picky about what I'm seeing in these early movies, because I know it's not gonna matter later on. We have so many big guns coming into the MCU that the MCU has not even done like a time skip besides the 5 years in the Infinity Saga. You know what I'm saying? Like they could just throw a curveball and be
I
like,
don't
you
even know
know,
what year it's supposed to be. I keep
it's
forgetting.
like 2025, 2026.
Because I know the last Spider-Man fucked it up too.
Yeah, he kind of did. The one with Jake Gyllenhaal that we're supposed to hate because of Taylor Swift.
Honestly, I think that's hilarious too, because our ex-congressman Beto O'Rourke recently announced his pitch for governor, and then like the next day or that same day that Beto like announced it, Jake Gyllenhaal's like in a picture with a Beto for Senate fucking shirt. And now I just see like people memeing like, give Taylor Swift her scarf back or whatever the fuck it was. Which, like, Jake Gyllenhaal has done more for the American consciousness than Taylor Swift ever has.
Yeah,
if we're being
get the fuck
completely
out.
honest. Jake Gyllenhaal can no, I almost said something sexist. Never mind. Jake Gyllenhaal's a good actor.
He's a good actor.
He's a great actor. And I think his work to the American consciousness has done more than some corny pop songs.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm being facetious. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm totally just picking fun at like Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift
But
fans.
you do bring a good point, though. I mean,
Jake Gyllenhaal, like, name like 3 good Jake Gyllenhaal films. Name 3 good Taylor Swift songs. Like,
I can't do the Taylor Swift one for sure.
top 3 Jake Gyllenhaal films.
Films: Jake Gyllenhaal, Zodiac, Nightcrawler.
Yeah, Nightcrawler. I was gonna say Nightcrawler. I was gonna say like strictly the fact that
The one
Nightcrawler.
with the cops, even though
Strictly the fact that Nightcrawler's a film like blows out the water anything that like Taylor Swift's ever. Maybe she deserved it. I don't know.
Who knows?
that
may
man
never know.
that man made Nightcrawler. I don't know if I believe her gripes.
Yeah. I don't know.
And other points, just everyone please use the hashtag
Birds for the homeless.
Nerds for the Homeless. Please give us your feedback on other films, and there's just a few things that we're thinking about talking about that we haven't given dates or episodes yet. We were discussing subsequent episodes of Attack on Titan. We need to talk about Demon Slayer,
Hunter.
My
Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia. I watched the 3rd My Hero Academia film last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever the
I
fuck it
haven't
was.
watched that one.
Well,
Wait,
aren't you like not even caught up with the
Train?
animes?
Mugen Train?
No,
Oh, the new one. New one?
Mugen Train is Demon Slayer. I'm talking
Oh,
about My Hero Academia.
My bad. My Hero Academia.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like the next JoJo's comes out next month. The entertainment district of Demon Slayer starts next month.
Oh yeah.
There's just a bunch of big shit coming up all at once. So if you guys, our audience, could please help us out in trying to reschedule this and navigate all this great content, tell us what you want to hear us talk about up front, and we will prioritize that. I promise.
Absolutely. And as far as that goes, this has been
Between
Nerds